I'm here with the CEO of Volcanic Gold Mines, Simon Ridgway, who has a number of successes on his pedigree, so to speak. And you're now, you since a couple of years have been active in Guatemala, and Volcanic Gold is your, let's say, current vehicle there. And in the most recent days, you have been extremely successful with the first couple of drill holes. There's a lot to be said here, but let's just jump into things.
Okay. Well, I've had a lot of successes previously, as you said, and most of them have been in Central America. So I know the geology of this region very well. Yes. I found a couple of deposits in Honduras and the Cerro Blanco mine in Guatemala, which is about 35 kilometers south, and also in southern Mexico. So I know the volcanics of this part of the world very well. And I came back in early this year with Volcanic because, for about 5 years, Guatemala was not really workable. The government and the constitutional court of the country was pretty much against mining, and they shut down the Tambor mine and a very large silver mine, Escobal. But the new government came in January of this year, very pro-mining, and they support foreign investment strongly. So I decided it was time to get back into this area. I think Guatemala is a very underexplored region. It's got the same volcanic belt basically as Mexico. And, for every few thousands of dollars that have been spent in Mexico, there's probably only $1 spent in Guatemala on the exploration. Definitely. So it's a great place to explore. We have a very large...
I've read that in your presentation, and no question about it. There's two major discoveries, just each one of them 20 kilometers away from you. One is the Escobal project that's now, I think, owned by Pan American Silver. And the other one, and I think they bought it to the tune of $1 billion, actually.
That's correct. Yeah.
From Goldcorp at the time. So they certainly are not afraid to operate there. And then there's your next door neighbor. Interestingly enough, just a couple of days ago, came out with, weeks ago, came out with a new mineral resource of just about 3.1 million ounces plus close to 14 million ounces of silver. So that tells something about the prospectivity of the area you're in and your next door neighbor. I would say if those results that you just announced were in any different part of the world, the market would definitely have picked up on them. But so far, the stock hasn't really reacted very much. I think it's pretty much because of a disregard or Guatemala being overlooked as a place, as a destination for gold projects. Pretty much.
I think so, especially with the Escobal being shut down, as you said. Pan American bought it for $1 billion, and that was after it got shut down by the previous government. Yes. And the reason they shut it down was because they said that the government issued the permit, the old government issued a permit without consultation with the indigenous populations of the region. So that consultation is ongoing right now, and I think we'll see the mine back in production in early of the new year coming. Mm-hmm. Cerro Blanco, as you said, they just reported a resource of 3.1 million ounces, and that is about 40 kilometers to the south of us, where we're exploring on the Holly property. And as I said, I discovered that deposit quite a number of years ago. And it's being developed now. Goldcorp spent something like $240 million on that property, and then sold it.
On which one? On the Escobal?
On Cerro Blanco.
Oh, Cerro Blanco. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So they purchased that from me. Goldcorp did way back when, and spent a lot of money on it over the years. Never did develop it because of the politics change in the country, and it sat there. And then it was purchased, and now it's owned by a Lundin company. So I'm in good company in the country. I've got Pan American Silver with Ross Beatty's company in the area, and the Lundin company. So they're good ground bakers, and they go where they think the politics are correct, where the things are changing.
Let's just take one step back, though. You are just about to do to fulfill an earn-in deal, I think, with Radius Gold for 60%. And looking at the numbers, what struck me was the relatively high number, $7 million work commitment, I guess, over a certain period of time. To me, at first, that looked like a lot for a project that, as far as I have seen, doesn't have a resource yet.
No, it doesn't have a resource, but it's got a lot of both the Holly property and the second target within the land position that we picked up has got a lot of drilling on it with a lot of reasonable intercepts. You know, as ex-president of Radius, I know the properties well, and I think that was kind of the value that I put on them. Yeah. I had to put a good earn in. Yeah. I didn't want to go in there with Radius because Radius is only got a few $1 million in the treasury. We have a few discoveries in Mexico that we got joint ventured out, and I didn't want to dilute those discoveries by financing activities in Guatemala. But I am a strong believer in the properties we had, so I had a negotiated deal that was very fair for Radius that I had both hats on.
Yeah, so, you were on both ends, so to speak.
Yeah. So I think it's a very good deal for both companies. I went out and raised 13 million for Volcanic. So presently we got 44 million shares out in Volcanic, 10 million cash in the treasury, and a huge database on a very large land position in eastern Guatemala, which I think is one of the most prospective belts in the world. Just to back up on that $7 million earning, that is on the Holly of the Banderas property, but we also have the database on a huge land position in this volcanic belt that is unexplored. The only people that have ever explored it for gold and silver is companies under my control back, in this region, doing regional work. So I have all that database with all that stream sediment sampling, previous drilling. So it's a huge amount of money has been spent by Radius previously on that land position. Hence the so-called expensive on it.
So you just released the two first drill holes actually of this season's campaign, and they're both looking phenomenal. I'm just reading here 11 meters of 6.9 grams of gold at the Holly, and then the next one came up with 14 meters of 3.9 grams plus a kilo of silver.
Silver, yeah. This is the silver district because we got, as I said, we got that Escobal mine that was discovered. That was discovered in 2007. And to back up a little bit, I did find the Escobal vein, and I put a couple of drill holes in it. I didn't drill deep enough to make the discovery. I walked away too soon. So when I sold the Cerro Blanco deposit to Goldcorp, they also acquired that vein that I didn't drill on. They drilled deeper and discovered a world-class silver deposit. Oh, okay. So, it's got about 400 million ounces of silver.
You're not going to make that mistake again, right?
I don't want to make that mistake again. Of course, there's no guarantee in anything. I put some shallow holes into the Holly previously and got some reasonable results, but I could never follow it up at depth. So I didn't go very deep on it. So when I finance Volcanic, the intention is to go back in and drill deeper on these projects that I'd previously put some holes into. And so far it's proven the right thing. I mean, within that 11.14 meters of a kilo of silver and 4 grams gold, there's another broader intercepts of 34 meters of half a kilo of silver and 2 grams gold. So it's quite
what's the depth of that hole? Is that a deeper hole?
Depth is about 200 meters below surface. We haven't gone very deep yet. We need to go deeper than that. Okay. This is a big structure, the Hocatan Fault Zone. And it's intersecting with the Graben Fault, which the fault is related to Cerro Blanco to the south. So these are the two structures that basically, one of them controls the Escobal, one of them controls the Cerro Blanco, and this is where they come together. So I'm hoping I get it. High-grade gold and silver deposit.
Simon, what's the scope of this drilling? Is it more, would you call it rather discovery drilling, or is it? It's not yet a resource.
It's not yet a resource, no. I think we're stepping out right now, and I think we are building a resource. I mean, the 4 holes I put in to date, I just stepped down dip on the structure to find what I think was, the major horizon. I think we hit that in hole 4. So now I'm stepping out a long strike of the structure at that depth. Yeah. So far, I've got no further results in on the structure, but it's looking good. I mean, visually, it looks okay.
How do these results compared to your neighboring projects?
Well, the Cerro, then one neighbor, Cerro Blanco, is basically their mineral deposit is over a 300-meter vertical interval from about 200 meters above sea level to about 500 meters above sea level. At the moment, we're at 700. That deepest hole we have in is at 700 above sea level. So, and the Escobal, that deposit spans over about 600 meters vertical. So it's a broad, very high-grade deposit. It's averaging, the first hole they put in deep, where they cut the mineralized zone, they cut 45 meters of 1.5 kilos of silver. So it was a phenomenal discovery hole. So we're in that kind of range, right?
Okay, so you're in the range, and the geology per se is the same geology.
The geology per se is the same. It's the same volcanic belt, and it's the same structural controls.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned a couple of comparables. This is an epithermal gold-silver system.
Yeah, so to differentiate the two deposits, Cerro Blanco is basically a hot spring deposit, so the very high level epithermal gold deposit, gold-silver. And the Escobal is more of an intermediate silver lead zinc deposit. So they're below the gold zone. There is a bit of gold in the deposit, but the majority of the high grade is in the intermediate zone. So it's a silver lead zinc deposit with very high grade silver.
Yeah, but those kinds of deposits, you quote and a couple of examples, Silvercrest, for example, or New Pacific Metals, or even Escobal, of course, they tend to have size. They tend
to have size, yeah.
Millions of ounces, really. They're not just usually even 1 million or 2 million ounces doesn't of course we're not there yet, but there's no reason why that should be the limit.
There's no reason why that should be the limit. We're stepping out on this structure and chasing it, and we've got to go further down dip as well. So I'm optimistic we'll get a significant discovery here, but it's yet to be discovered.
Absolutely. We're in the early days to actually take up the work again. I think there was quite a pause between also COVID related and everything. So this is the first time you address this again. So give us the outlook for the next 6 months, maybe a year. Where do you want to be in that time frame?
Well, I'd like to, focusing on the Holly itself, stepping out along this structure, La Pena structure, I would like to establish a resource on that right away. So we're to underpin the share price. So we are stepping out along strike to do that, drilling at various depths. We have not gone deeper yet than the hole that cut that very high grade silver, and that is something we'll be doing in the next week. We've stepped out along strike, and we're seeing the core, and it looks like we're hitting the same style of mineralization. So now we're going to go deeper along the main structure itself. We'll also be getting a second rig into the property on the Banderas property, which is the second target. That property's got about 40 drill holes into it previously from radius way back in 2010. And we hit some broad, low-grade mineralization, 30 meters of a gram, 28 meters of half a gram, in that range. I don't really see the potential in that region to put an open pit, so we need to get down into that higher grade zone, and that's the target.
Anyways, I think we should just for now focus on the current drilling on the Holly, because I think that's the excitement of the company. That's the excitement, and that's enough to get your head around as an investor. Tell us, how fast do you think you can develop this resource? Because I think that's really what the market actually wants to see. In terms of how big is this, what's the average grade potentially, and so forth. Do you think you can come out with this even this year, or? I think we came up with a high grade resource this year, yes, with enough drill holes in the Holly. We have a second rig going to the property. It's actually quite a bit slower to get it there than I thought, just because it's stuck up in customs. But I think over the next 3 months, we'll be able to establish a resource on the Pena structure if it holds together. And then we can keep obviously chasing it further down and further along strike after that. But I really want to get this. We're not getting the response I want from the market. So the best way to offset that is to establish a resource in the ground that the market cannot ignore. I think that's the point. The market needs something in order tangible. The results are great, and if you continue this type of assays and intercepts, I think it's just a matter of time how fast the market will catch up in anticipation of a coming high-grade resource.
Right.
That's maybe a good summary for now. Simon, this is the first interview that the two of us do like this over Zoom. I thank you for taking your time, and I think we should really make it a habit, and then you report the progress, and we both get.
I think that would be great. Every time we get some good results out, establish this resource, we'll have another call. It would be great, Sven. Yes.
Okay, Simon, thanks for taking your time, and catch up soon.
One quick comment before you go. Want to note, we have $10 million in the treasury, so we do not need to go to the market to raise the money to establish this resource. We have the money to do it.
Yes, you mentioned that, and that is a very valid and very important point. Okay, 44 million shares, I guess.
44 million shares out.
Well, at current valuation, you're trading 40 cents, something like that. 60.
Yeah, 40 cents. Let's say. So we have a market cap of some 22, 23 million.
Minus enterprise
10 million in the bank. So we're getting 15 million for that discovery so far. It's very cheap.
That is sounds like a bargain. Okay, thanks so much. We'll catch up soon. Bye bye. Ciao.
Thank you. Bye bye.